I started the Humble Food Truck for like a myriad of reasons. One, to compete, I guess. So to serve my own ego in the sense to where I've worked in this field for a really long time. I've seen a lot of people make food in all sorts of different venues, avenues, events. I wanted to utilize it in a way to like serve my fellow man, but do it in a way where it utilized all of my passion and the peak of my talents. But that was the dream, honestly, brother, was to make people really, really good food, right? At really, really fair prices, and then ensure that the food that they're putting in their body is safe for them, right? So like nowadays, if you're a chef or if you call yourself a chef, I think you do it with the knowledge that like I need to go as hard as I possibly can in this, right? Because there's a huge difference between a cook and a chef, and I wanted to see myself and envision myself as a chef, and that's someone who like respects other people, right? You have like the highest level of respect for someone, and that's why you put the highest level of technique and information and time and training and premeditation and planning and prepping and execution in every single thing that you do, right? And if you do that, then you're not just a food temperature changer, right? I'm not just like a lunch lady, right? I'm not like someone who's like, dude, if I can make $7 a sandwich and slang 100 sandwiches a day, this metric's totally gonna work for me. So yeah, in the most probably the grandest scope possible, my ideology behind starting the Humble Food Truck was service to my fellow man. Would that be the most basic, you think? Probably, right? If you had to grind it down, if you had to hyper condense it, if you had to boil it into a stock and reduce it to its ultra most finest essence, I think it would be service. That's why I started the Humble Food Truck.
It's like the little things, I guess, that you need to like care about, whether your customer cares about it or not, right? You're the one that has to live with your actions when it's all said and done. Your bed is made if some God exists, and like, why did you serve fucking 300 people Teflon written sandwiches throughout the course of your life, giving them cancer, and then maybe you got to see the heartache that their family went through because like you didn't take the time and due diligence and premeditation to ensure that you were giving someone the best product you absolutely could. That's on you, right? Like whether you're like aware of it or not. Like, is ignorance an excuse at all anymore? If I get on the road right now and wreck into 8 people and then someone's like, what happened? I'm like, I didn't know how to operate this car. I don't think anyone would care, right? It's like the fallout that you're responsible for. And so yeah, so I do take that pretty seriously in here. It's one of my largest priorities when it comes to food. And then second to that is the emotional, nostalgic, the thing, why do people love food, right? Like that ratatouille moment when you go to bite into something and you have like some nostalgic rushback moment of like being 12 or 13 or 14 and like remembering like some awesome memory you had that was tied with this special food that like made you feel a certain type of way. That is like hella important to me as well.
Dude, honestly, what made me fall in love with food was, I think, so I grew up very poor, right? So I think perspective has a lot to do with the answer to this question. So I grew up very, very poor. I spent my life in foster care. I entered foster care around the age of 4. And then before that, I lived like in ghettos, Section 8, food stamps, government cheese, like type of situation. And so I did not have like a huge intro to food, right? To be honest, the earliest memory I have is I was living with a white family. Their father, so it would be what, my foster grandparents or something like that. So he was a member of the Yoco Yacht Club in San Diego. Sorry for mispronouncing that. And we went there once on the weekend, and I was like in awe. It was like very fancy, right? It was like by far like the bougiest place I'd ever been to in my entire life. I was maybe 6 or 7. And we roll up and we go outside, and they have like this sick like patio with water and boats and stuff. Inside super nice. And there's a guy with a little cart, and on his little cart he has like all these little circular dishes on ice, right? And like one of them had like diced ham in it, one had like green peppers, onions, right? He had a little burner and a little pan, a little bottle with oil in it and a spatula. And I was fascinated the second I walked up, right? Because that was the first time I saw someone doing like kitchen type work outside of a kitchen. And so I rolled up, and the guy was super nice. And he was like, yeah, do you want an omelet? And I was like, what is an omelet? And he was like, well, I got eggs in this little speed pour thing here, and you pick whatever ingredients you want, and I literally make it like in front of you. And I'm like, get out of here. That's unreal. That's so sick. And I think that magic is like, it like ignited something in me. And like my love for food, I think, was kind of born on that day, you know, the magic and the mystery. And he seemed like so satisfied and cool, and like the technique he showed and the finesse during his job and like the competent sort of nature that he was operating everything, like the confidence he was injecting into what he was doing. And at the time, you know, like I was a kid, so I didn't know, like, you know, he's working a job, he's doing it for money, he's got bills to pay, right? But like I couldn't see any of that, right? Like in the dude, right? Like if you see someone like working a field, right? Like someone going at it physically, doing like a hard physical job. You ever seen someone put up like drywall, right? Like that dude is going hard. He's working hard for something. That dude probably has kids at home, maybe an aggressive drug habit that he needs to feed, but something, right? He has like a will and a desire, a push, right? But usually it's all monetary based, right? And like when this dude was making my omelet, I didn't see that like in his eye at all. And I remember like remembering that moment throughout my life, and then seeing people work jobs. And then as I got older, I was like, I liked that. I liked that that dude seemed to like enjoy what he was doing. And he had like some hustle mentality, but it was more like finesse and like technique and execution based. And like that is sexy and that is dope. And that's what probably gravitated me towards food, is probably what sparked the passion, right? 2 years ago, I found out that someone I loved a lot, spent every single day with, my significant other, had an extremely aggressive cancer. Like at the age of 24, she had an adrenal carcinoma. So for the next 2 weeks, I like watched her in a hospital bed, just like wrile in pain for 2 weeks straight, right? I had to like help her get out of the bed, just to like go pee. I had to help with like the most minor of things, right? And then just watching this person just suffer, right? And it was horrible. And like during this process, that process ended up being like a 6-month long process where I watched this person go through insane stuff that I haven't seen another person ever go through in my life. I've seen like pain, I've seen tragedy, right? But to see like the anguish in like every second of every day from someone, that like fed at my soul. I think it still does a little bit. And I guess this taps on the last question, why I'm so critical now, and it's that exact reason. Like now I see it as everyone that I gave like a sandwich to back in the day, where I used like a spatula, where I wasn't sure if there was BPA's in it or not, because I was working for Jack in a Box or something when I was 17 years old, right, flipping burgers. If that person got a fraction of a piece of that spatula in any of their food, the fact that they could then get an adrenal carcinoma that would cause them to wrile in pain for months, cause them to be out of work, a complete adjustment to their everyday life for the rest of their lives, and then possibly take their life from them if they could not afford to get that cancer treatment, or maybe they couldn't find it in time, right? That's a death sentence for someone. And so now the only way to protect yourself is to be incredibly premeditated. Every little thing that I do could save someone's life, potentially, right? That is why sourcing and purveying my food is incredibly important to me. Lately, I could say 1 out of 3 or 1 out of 2 people that get my food have taken the time to walk back up to my truck and be like, dude, that was an incredible sandwich. Like, that was so good. And that is so impactful, and it fills me with so much joy. Yeah, no matter where I'm at, no matter what my bank account looks like, no matter what stresses are happening in the world, no matter how destitute things may look, when someone walks back up to me and they look me in the eye and they tell me it's the best sandwich they've ever had in their life, it is so fulfilling. I just feel incredibly blessed that like that is something that I get, right? I get to do something, it mostly pays my bills, and then I get people telling me that like it physically like impacted their day, right? So epic. That's the most impactful for sure. People just straight up telling me that it's the best food they've ever had in their life. Like, I love that. I love it so much. More than anything, probably. Yeah, for sure.